Let's get started. Good morning to everybody out west and good afternoon to all those out east. Welcome to the second installment of ISSA Canada's Residential Cleaner Committee Coffee Talk Forum. My name's Tanya Watney. I am the Director of Marketing and Communications for ISSA Canada, and I will be your moderator for today's event. Also joining us today are two members of our Residential Cleaning Committee. That is Judith Vrag, owner of Clean Club Calgary in Calgary, Alberta, and Mark Baker, CEO of Motivated Maids out of Paradise, Newfoundland. The Coffee Talk Forum offers residential cleaners a platform to ask questions relative to the Canadian market, share challenges, and hopefully glean some valuable information in order to be successful in the residential cleaning space. As this forum is guest-driven, I do encourage you all to include any questions or comments in the chat area, or alternatively, you can raise your hand. And I would kindly ask that you just mute your microphones for now, just to minimize any of the background noise. So today we're gonna start our session today with a quick poll, as some of the things we're going to talk about are dependent on your businesses and how many people are employed in your businesses. So if you wouldn't mind, if you could just quickly answer a couple questions here for us, and then we can better gauge our answers to your questions based on that. We've just had a couple more people join us. If you wouldn't mind, if you could just answer our poll, I'll give it another 30 seconds. Okay. Okay. Judith, can you see?
Yes, I can. That is great.
Excellent.
Yeah. Thank you so much for everyone to fill this out, because this gives us a little bit of a better view, and we can prepare better for some of the content. Yeah. If you guys are too shy about asking questions, but hopefully not. So I wanted to just gonna take a quick screenshot of this, so I'll have it.
Okay.
So thank you. So I wanted to kind of start off by saying thank you so much for coming to have coffee with us this morning or this afternoon. I know your time is very valuable, and I know everybody is busy, either just busy with work or busy with hiring or busy with anything that comes with the business. So we really appreciate your time being here. So we want to make it valuable. There were some questions sent in to Tanya from our last coffee talk. And we did a little bit of preparation for it. So some questions were along job ads. So the question specifically was, how can I have a good enticing job ad out so I get good quality applicants? So maybe I'll ask Mark. So today Mark and I are holding down the fort. So maybe Mark can answer some of these questions, and please feel free to make comments or add questions into the chat box, because that is going to keep us more fluid with the conversation.
Absolutely.
Judith, I'm happy it's just you and me, because you're my favorite. So it's so good to see you. So for my, I'm going to assume that most everyone here is Canadian. If there's any American friends here or from any other country, please note in the chat box. It'd be great to see the other places outside of Canada that is being represented here today. Also, too, it does help us with some content because even though contract law, when it comes to hiring independent contractors, is sometimes seen by our American friends as being the same in Canada and United States, it actually isn't. Not just in the wording of contract law with independent cleaning contractors, but also with regards to how it's enforced. So it'd be nice for us to kind of know who we're dealing with. And outside of that, I did want to take just a second to introduce myself a little further so people knew who they were talking to. So again, Mark Baker is my name. I'm the president of a company called Motivated Brands Inc., Motivated House Cleaning, and Motivated Maids Inc. I've been in the business now for a little over 5 years. I started as a solo cleaner in Paradise, Newfoundland, Labrador, which St. John's, Newfoundland. Us Newfies like to think we're a big player in Canada, but our entire province only got 500,000 people, and our capital city only got 100,000. So it's a suburb outside Toronto. But I did grow that from a solo cleaner to seven figures, a seven-figure business doing purely house cleaning in this small market in under 5 years. We're now launched nationally, and we're about 6 weeks away from franchising and also product and training and equipment sales. So I'm really lucky to be a founding member of this committee. And I'm really happy to be here today to answer any questions I might be able to. Hopefully you can learn something from me, and also hopefully I know I'll learn lots from you. You take it away again, Judith.
So the question was about how do you do a job ad? What tips you can give for an enticing job ad for a cleaner?
Well, whenever you're talking to me, ladies and gentlemen, you're never going to get a direct answer. Tanya knows that. She'll laugh now. Insert laugh here. Because, what I've learned is that the magic bullet in the cleaning industry is hiring. Getting customers is not difficult. It's not hard. It's a very simple thing to do. Getting professional house cleaners or commercial cleaners, or if you will, but this is a residential, so I'll stick with the house cleaning, is the hard part. Now, if you can figure out how to get me 400 professional house cleaners, you and I can be millionaires together. So that's what it boils down to, right? So everyone is looking for that silver bullet, that special job ad. And I think it goes beyond that. So what I want to talk about, and I just want to be clear that like all house cleaning companies, our turnover rate was in the hundreds of percent. And it's like that throughout the United States and Canada. And anyone who says that their business is not in the hundreds of percent is probably not being 100% honest. Now, McDonald's is in the hundreds of percent as well. And as you know, they can attract, hire, train, retain, turnover, and do it again, and they still got our fries perfect in just 2 minutes. So they've embraced the turnover. So as we kind of delve into this important topic that's on everybody's mind all the time, I want to just start by saying embrace the turnover. That's first. Now, before you even get to the point where you write a job ad, you need to people need to make an attitude adjustment. Just have to tell it like it is. So I hear lots of stinking thinking, negative self-talk, and people will say things like, for example, well, if people just cared, it's so hard to get good people. Oh, the millennials nowadays, or the people nowadays. My dad's 75, and he thought my generation were a bunch of boneheads. And guess what I think? I think my kid's generation is a bunch of boneheads, and so on it goes throughout time. The reality is that you have no control over the pool of labor that's available to you. Okay, what you do have control over is what you do to attract, train, retain that pool of labor. Now, you obviously want to create a situation where you can attract a better quality candidate, a better quality person to be a part of your team. And that's not a judgment of any humans. We're all equal as human beings. But when I say quality, I mean someone who has an aptitude for the profession, someone who stays in the profession for over 3 years or longer, someone that's great to deal with, so on and so forth. So you have to, if anyone here happens to have that attitude, if like it just people weren't this way, you need to change that because that will not serve you well. Yep. Now, I have had, we have a few hundred people in my network, okay? And I've had hundreds of people come through my company. And our human resources practices were world class. When we went to Las Vegas in 18 or 19 for the ISSA North America show, we went to the round table. We went down, I took a team of 5 employees, we fanned out, we took in the round tables, and I was really hoping to learn things that could help me beat the problem of turnover. But it turns out in a short period of time, everyone was coming to us. Now, we weren't doing anything innovative. We were simply taking human resources practices that are commonplace in other industries, like oil and gas, for example. And we were just putting them in the house cleaning industry, which tends not to have human resources practices that are as high level as you would see somewhere else. That's all we were doing. That in and of itself is kind of step one. House cleaning is an ease of entry business. 2 maids and a mop, right? Not hard to get in the business. So because of that, it can be a situation where we're not always operating at a high level when it comes to our human resources practices. And that's something that I think everyone needs to address, whether it's a 2-person show or whether it's a 200-person show. Mm-hmm. Adjusting your attitude and saying, what can I do to attract people? Now, once you say that to yourself, well, obviously remuneration is a big part of it, but it's not everything. In fact, when you take human resources courses, in business school, like I did 20 years ago, and ongoing education, you'll constantly learn that money does matter, but it's like 4th on the list. But there is a break even. There's what's called a living wage. If you're interested in knowing what a living wage is, just type in living wage Canada. You can find out what a living wage is for New Brunswick, what a living wage is for Vancouver, which I'll let you know is about $21.13 an hour. Now, at the end of the day, if you have people who are struggling to put gas in the car, they're probably not worried whether or not they get the dust off Miss Smith's baseboard. They're probably a little bit worried about whether or not they're going to make it home, or little Billy asked for $20 for the school once again this week. Now, margins are margins, and we all know in the house cleaning industry, they pay from $25 to $35 an hour on average in Canada. Now, if you're in Montreal Center City, you're going to get $45 an hour, $47. If you're in Calgary Center City, I don't know what that is, maybe it's $35 an hour. But in general, between $25 and $35 an hour. Now, you got to say to yourself,
what you would charge out?
What you would charge a customer. So the customer is willing to pay a fee in that range. Now, we know that our number one expense is the professional house cleaner. So how do we create a situation where we can pay a living wage to that professional house cleaner geographic to our region? Well, you got to have a real close look at your efficiency financially and how your costs and how you run your company. Okay, that's where it starts. Now let's go to that job ad question, because it starts there. The job ad is not built. I'm going to build a great job ad. I'm going to list every single thing on how we work. I'm going to sell our company. I was top 3% in the world for Coldwell Banker in real estate sales in my 20s. People would come in for traditional interviews, and I could sell. I'd hire 40 cleaners in 1 week. And guess what? They'd all wash out. By the time they realized they hated it, that Mark guy, I just wanted to say yes to him, right? So writing a great ad is not that important as it is having a great company. And it starts with asking yourself, would I want to work for me? Would I want to work with me? Do I want to work with me? Does my company do what it promises? You don't need to have a roulette wheel and you spin it and, hey, it's Friday and you won today and you get the gift card to Kelsey's for $20. Listen, they don't need a gift card to Kelsey's. They need to get paid so they can go feed their family and they decide what they're going to do with their own money. Half of that's just condescending, right? But what you do is you pay on time when you're supposed to. If you have a document that they requested, get the document to them right away. Treat them like they are truly customers. That is where it starts at. Now, what I'll tell you is since 2 Novembers ago, we went to Vegas, we had in the 100%, our turnover rate is now 8%. And I'm willing to bet that I don't know anybody in this industry has got an 8% turnover ratio. So what did we do to get an 8% turnover ratio? Those are the type of things you got to ask yourself. Now, with regards to your job ad, okay, transparency is key for this generation. And I learned that the hard way because I grew up in the keep your cards close to your chest generation, right? And Joe, I can see Joe and Marvin, you got gray in your beards. I'm bald now and I shave, but I'm pretty gray too, guys. And so we're around the same age, right? I'm 48 tomorrow. So, you probably might be from the same generation where you keep things, Marvin's smiling because he's older than 48 probably, or younger, I don't know. But, you keep your cards close to your chest, right? Well, you know what I've learned about the young generation? They don't appreciate that. They want direct answers to their questions. It's not like you're trying to make a sale where someone calls you and you give them enough information so that you can go meet with them and do a walkthrough, or as soon as I do a walkthrough, I got you at hello, right? Well, that's a sales process. Don't do sales process with people. Simply give them the answers to their questions. That's first. Secondly, build a brand. So, for example, one job ad we put out across Canada, we had over 7,000 applications on Indeed. 7,000 in a 4-week period. Well, how did we get that? Well, I will tell you, it's every single person who applied, we responded to 100% of the time. When you put in your ad, we'll respond to you if we're interested. Think back. Think back that day where you were waiting for a call on a job you applied for. It might have been an in-between job. Who knew what it was? Transient type job. And you're waiting on that job. You need that money. Right? Or should I call? No, maybe I'll be too eager. Oh, no. Well, I might bother them. Or, geez, maybe I waited too long to call a company. That's the type of things people feel, right? I remember feeling that way when I was a young man. Have respect for people. It doesn't matter if they're just going point, click, apply, point, click, apply. And it's obvious they did not read anything. They just applied and it's a bad app. Doesn't matter. Respond to everyone. They're human beings and these are responded to. And that's going to build a brand for your company in your area. And over time, that will serve you well because those people applying today are your customers tomorrow. That's very, very important. Now, be clear. Tell them what they expect to make. Remuneration upon request. Come on, guys. We all know those games. We went in when we were kids. We had a job interview. We sat in front of the man or the woman. We nailed it. We felt good. And you walked out. You went home. You told your partner, honey, I think I got it. It was a good interview. It was great. How much are you going to make? I got no idea. I guess I'll find out later. Really, right? You're already not in a position. No one wants to feel that way. We've all been there, right? Tell them how much you're going to make. If it's between $13 and $18 an hour, say $13, $18 an hour. If it starts at 13, say it starts at 13.
So do you include that, Mark? Do you include that, the remuneration
100%.
In your advertising?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I tell them exactly what they can expect to make with us.
Okay.
Now, with that said, when you put your ad on Indeed, and make no mistake, Indeed is not the only source of getting people. And Judith can speak on that. She can speak on, for example, people that have worked with her who brought in some friends and family and how she might remunerate them and reward them for helping her grow the business and things like that, right? And building a tribe. But when you're looking at mass numbers, Indeed owns the market in Canada. So you're going to set yourself apart from everyone. Well, think about it in a real estate point of view. You want to be transparent. But if you notice that you want to find out where that house is located, you got to call the agent. Oh, I know it's in my area. It's in, Peel. But there's no price on that darn house. Is that in my price range? They always leave one piece of information out. They do. Real estate agents do that intentionally because they want you to contact them. Because once you contact them, they're going to get you as a customer, or at least they're going to try, right? Well, you want to create a situation where you give transparency, but keep them wanting a little bit more, right? Keep it short and sweet and excited. Hit them with that number. Hit them with a few bullet points. Like, don't write a paragraph. No one's reading it, man. I mean, I can't speak for you, but I have a PA who manages my emails. But I can tell you right now, if you write me a 500-word essay, I'm not reading it. I'm looking for the words, and I'm trying to decide what I'm going to do. And they're no different. You might think you're doing a great job by writing this big, long job ad that does everything, right? And yes, we'll talk in interviewing in a second, 100%. That speaks on everything. You might think you're doing a good job. They're not going to read it. Hit them with bullets. So, for example, if I'm selling a house, pool. I don't need to say sparkling pool that gleams when the sun comes in from the south side of Calgary. Just pool, right? Treed lot. Give them the information that they need to know. Bullet, because they're more likely to read it. Now, when you get on Indeed, create a canned response and reply to everyone. Once a day, you go in, or you get your assistant to go in, you click a button, and I have a canned response. Thank you so much for applying with Motivated House Cleaner, Motivated Brands, or wherever it is, Motivated Maids Inc. We really appreciate that. To complete your application, please click this link here and go to our website. And when you go to our website, it'll take them to the career page. Now you can give them more information, right? And you can highlight it a little more and share more, but you're also helping your SEO because you're getting traffic on your website now, right? So as you get more traffic, you're increasing your organic rankings as well. And you're also getting off the Indeed platform because ultimately you want to create a situation where you can attract people without having to go to Indeed and pay them their extortionist money to get it, right? Because I paid them a lot of money and didn't realize I had to, right?
Yeah.
So you get to your site and now you can be a bit more forthcoming about things. Final thing is that what you want to do, and then we'll move on to the other question, let Judith obviously have something to say and whatnot, is invest in a HRIS platform. You know, we have one called Collage. I'm not a huge fan, I'll be honest with you. It's out of Montreal. I think the customer service is one thing, but I think the price is on point. And what a HRIS human resources platform is it does all kinds of things, but let's look at the ATS part of it, applicant tracking system. So what happens when someone goes to our site and they have apply here? It's like for us old timers, Wally Coyote with the Roadrunner, you know, this way, and on the hill, try to get them to jump off the hill. It's like apply here, right? Apply here, put those buttons out there. And then they click apply here, they click on the job ad, and it asks them the questions that I want to know, right? Have you ever been convicted of a crime? Yes or no? You know, are you legal age and majority? Because you can enter into a contract if you're not legal age and majority, but it's not enforceable in a court of law in Canada. So you may, especially if you use independent contractors like we did before, now we're going to the franchise model, but that's what we used to do. And if you're doing that, you know, there's a contract. And even an employee, there's an employee, can be an employee-employer contract. Well, so if you're in Newfoundland, we're not going to hire you if you're 18 because we can't enforce that. But if you're in Alberta, it's probably like 12 or something, because up there, they're like, we're driving cars at 15 and they do things totally different in Alberta. They're very, you know, open towards younger people doing things versus Newfoundland. So you got to know that. The next question is, do you have any injuries that will prevent you from being able to, you know, blah, 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 blah. So you ask a series of questions, okay? And then they can click and attach their resume. Okay, great. Now, here's what I don't want to know. I don't want to know how old they are. Don't care. It's got nothing to do with whether they're going to be successful. I don't care if they're fat or skinny. I don't care if they're man, woman, transvestite. I don't care if they're black, white. None of those things matter. Who cares? I hope you're a human. We will consider you if you're an alien, if you can get the work done. Now, what happens is once a day, we go into our applicant tracking system and we can see 75 applicants. And here's what we do. We open the first one and we're looking for yes, 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 no, no. And we don't look at the resume. We don't look at nothing. We don't care about any of it. It means they're not a criminal. They don't have a previous health injury. You know, they're legal age and majority, whatever I need to know. And then we send them, make them an offer. Because here's what I've learned. I've done interviews at the highest level and I've been trained in human resources practices. And I have zero ability to judge who's going to be successful in this business. Zero. And listen, we all can put on an about face in an interview and sell the interviewee, right? So you want to create a situation where you get them to display their aptitude. So we're not asking them to jump through 17 hoops at once, but we are asking them to jump through a little hoop at first. Go apply my website. Okay, well, you're going to lose half of them there, aren't you? Okay, you're on my website. Great, click this apply button. Oh, you're going to lose another quarter there. Okay, well, now click this button and fill out these questions. Well, that's another few. And what's going to happen is that you're going to weed out 75%, and now you got, say, 25 people left, and they're pretty good. They jump through some hoops. Well, you made them an offer, and in the offer, embed some videos. It's a canned email. Hi, I'm Mark, founder and CEO of Motivated Amazing. Thank you so much for applying. I'd like to make an official offer. But before you accept this offer, here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to read down through this email. 10 minutes is a small amount of time to invest in potentially a life-changing and rewarding career. I'd like you to watch this video I made for you. It talks about how our system works. Whatever way you want to do it, you do you, right? Now they apply back and they say, I accept. Now, from a legal perspective, we've taken care of all of the legalities of it. And this is a running record, right? And then if they accept your offer, you move to the next stage in the ATS. If you're small or if you're big, you need an ATS system. And thanks to SaaS, software as a service, we can have the same systems, sometimes even better than the largest companies like ExxonMobil. So to close up the answer to that question, worry less about the content of the ad. Worry more about, one, does your company offer things matter to people? Remunerate fairly. You don't have to pay the highest, but if you pay the lowest, well, hey, do you ever go out there and try to get the lowest paying job yourself personally? Probably not. Ask yourself if you'd like to work for yourself. Be a company that does what it's supposed to do when it's supposed to do it. Use some technology and systems to help you do massive amounts of applicants without any human resources costs. Be efficient financially inside so you can pay more. And write simple ads that highlight some of the great things about working with your company and make it easy for people to apply. And the final recap is, think about how you think about people. If you take a negative stance in your mind about the market labor force out there, listen, I can't help you because you're too worried about them and you can't control them. You can control you. And all those people that are complaining about the other, that's wonderful. You guys keep doing that. Well, I'm hiring, right?
Judith, there's a question here from one of our participants who is a building service contractor working in a football stadium, who has a question regarding hiring and interviewing. What is your process in that area?
Thanks, Tanya. I just want to add to Mark. So many great points, Mark. I actually made note.
Yeah.
Sorry, Judith, you're writing. God love you.
Yeah, and the one thing just to I know it's hard, and I know you're all looking for answers. I'm just gonna put my ad in here for you guys, and the link that I use in Indeed. Some of the tips that I can give on that is, yeah, Indeed, as Mark had mentioned, is one of the biggest platforms. I myself really like it for a lot of options, like the responding that Mark had mentioned, which is really important. You can also do a phone interview, and then you can also wean out your applicants, so you're saving a lot of time. And also, going back to Mark, I loved what you were saying, and I would add that before you do an ad, you need to know exactly who you are, exactly would you want to work for yourself, and you need to know your values. So if you look at my ad, my values are spread all across. So I'm trying to attract those people who have the same set of values as we do, because it's just going to be easier.
It's so important, Judith. Yeah. It's so important. Amber down with Good Witch Cleaning in Kansas, which you may know Judith and Tanya, yeah. But she's kind of an influencer in the industry. She is really big on gender issues and gender rights. Yeah. And she takes a public stance on it as a company. And you know what? People who have experienced gender issues in the workplace are gravitating towards her, and she has her pick of quality people who want to work with her because they know they can go to a place and just, it doesn't matter, you know, they want to be called Zer, she'll call them Zer, and she loves it. So like what Judith said, right? Know who you are. Yeah. And finding out and knowing who you are and then simply displaying that will attract people who have similar values. That's a really good point you're making, Judith. I cannot say enough about that.
Yeah, so question about interviewing. So what we do at Clean Club Calgary is our ad is always on. And not only always on, I really like Mark about the SEO. I actually do not have a application form on my website, which now I've written down and I'm gonna get one. But it's always on, and I suggest that you spend money on it. My firm belief, in order for me to run my business, I need to spend money on certain things. So getting quality applicants, so I actually sponsor my job on Indeed, I do that. So it's always on, it's always going, and we are always monitoring it. And if somebody comes through that we really like, we get them in for an interview. I do not have experience, which is such a large number, Stacy, and that's great. That's great that you have that. I have experienced some group interviews that seem to work for larger settings. And I think, again, just going back to values. So I do understand that's a football stadium that you're hiring for, but you maybe need to look at people who are really into sports and, you know, they would love to work in a place that is very well known. Little known fact, I actually used to work for the Calgary Flames, and I was an executive assistant in my previous life before I decided to
Very
clean
cool.
toilets.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it was a very, very, very privileged job. When I was picked, at the time, I was picked out of 347 applicants. So they were looking for that gem and they could pick. So I don't know, Stacy, about this football stadium, what is it a well-known team or not? But you know, that kind of what my first inclination would be. And then also just asking the right questions. So being ready with your questions that work and questions that wean out people. And then also my experience, when you get into an interview, just let the interviewee speak. Do not speak, just listen, because they will tell you a lot of stuff. And sometimes they tell you stuff that you love, and sometimes they will tell you stuff that you're like, maybe they are not the right fit.
People do master's degree and PhDs in human resources. This is a very, very broad thing. With regards to the stadium, here's some suggestions. One is have a systematic process for interviewing. Now, we're paperless now. We're a paperless company, but there was a time when we were paper heavy. We had an interview kit. So when someone came into our office, we done group interviews. We had the boardroom table. There was water laid out for them. There was a pen laid out for them. There was a package. Hey, like we wanted to leave with something. People love getting stuff. It was branded. There was a portfolio with our brand on it. And when you opened it up, there was procedures. Now, the interviewer, which was me, and then finally other people who worked with me, it was specific. We had 5 minutes. That was meet and greet. And our interviewer stayed on point for 5 minutes. Hi, well, just, hey, my name is Barb, and here's my history. And I started this company and blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. So use people's names. When people walk in the front door, hi, you must be Barb. Oh, great, Barb, it's so good to meet you. My name is Mark. I'm so happy you're here today. And if you don't feel happy they're here, check yourself, man. Check yourself. You should be happy they're there. Because you know why? Because, and I use this one a lot. Tanya's heard it before, maybe Judith. I have a toddler. She's my world, okay? And if I get a text from my missus, I'm a newfie, so I'll say from my missus, and she says, Mark, pick up some milk for Scarlett on the way home. I have enough money in my account to get that. And you know why? Because there's people with their face and eyes in the toilet right now as I talk to you, which used to be me 5 years ago. So I have a lot of respect. They do not work for me. I work for them. And if I do it correctly, you know what? I can also have a little bit of money too. Okay, so make no mistake. You're not in a position of power and control over people. This is Canada. You can't fail in Canada. If you screw up to the worst, hey, you can still get an apartment and enough food to keep you alive in Canada. You can even go bankrupt as a business owner. A year later, wipe your hands of it and start again. So there's a big social safety net in Canada. So people don't need you the way you think they need you. So you have to remember that. You're not in the driver's seat.
You mentioned
right?
before, Mark, that you and I am the same way, to treat people who come through your door as a potential team member, treat them as customers, right?
100%. Listen, don't even use the terminology for. So-and-so works for me. No, they don't work for you.
I use work with me all the time because
100%.
I'm on the same level. I can still jump on the broom anytime and I can run circles around them and they know that, right?
And so that's very important, sure. Now, the next thing is educate yourself to the stadium question. There's free courses everywhere. Allison.com. I take free courses and get certifications there all the time. Now, I'm one of those lunatics. You know, I get up 4 a.m. and start work every day. From 4 to 5 every day, I do house cleaning education. From 5 to 6, I do general education. From 6 to 7, I have a strategy hour. I take a family hour. I come to my office, okay? So Allison.com. Hey, human resources, how to do a great interview, how to hire. It's all free for you through credited places. So do that, okay? Next is follow your interview system. Record their personal information. Ask them a set of questions and write down the answers to the questions, okay? Better yet, put a video on the wall and display. 3 minutes, here's what our company is about. So consistency and see what works. Now, there was a question there about someone said 100 people show up. Ghosting is a big issue in interviews. Anyone here experience ghosting in interviews? 11 people are getting interviewed tomorrow, woohoo, and nobody shows up.
Oh yeah.
Like okay, great. So ghosting is, again, the wrong thing to do is to complain. Oh, well, that's because of this. And in this community, like, a bunch of skeets around here. Again, use my Newfie slang, okay? So I don't know what you'd call it there in Ontario, vagrants or something. Skeets is down here. So my point is that, again, that's the wrong attitude. Ghosting is because, you know what? They don't see value in coming there. So you know what we did? We stopped doing in-person interviews. And it was before COVID. You know why? Because they're stupid. They're a waste of time. My God, what is this, 1982? People can get on a Zoom meeting with you, or Google Meet, even better, free. They can get on a Google Meet. You can talk face to face and get to know one another. It's actually the way. Best yet, you can record it and go back to it later and go through the questions. Not only that, you have a physical recording for liability purposes if you end up in a legal disagreement with someone who you may have hired in the future.
Yeah, but Mark, don't you think like an interview process over the video chat, don't you think that there's something missing there when it comes to little nuances and personality that you just don't get on a video call?
No. That's the shortest answer you ever get from me.
There you go.
Look, at the end of the day, you're being ghosted for a reason. Now, you know what? And here's the other thing. Assess yourself. Are you a good interviewer? Do you have other employees that are present? Because I can tell you, I wasn't. And you got to build a good relationship with you, because you have to surround yourself with people who want the best for you, and thus they expect the best from you. If your team is afraid to tell you, hey, Mark, you weren't on point today, that was a bad experience, their eyes were teared over waiting for you to shut up. If the people who work with you can't tell you that, you need to check yourself. And if you're not good at it, get someone else to do it. It's not rocket science, right? You may not be the best face for your company. Someone else might be a better face for your company. You may be the magic behind the scenes. There's lots of ways to look at it. So you got to ask yourself. So if you're going to do in-person interviews, book groups of 10 and 12. Book 12, right? If you book 12 or 20, we used to book 20 at a time because we knew we'd get 4, right? Wow. Do group interviews. So, but the point is that, like, you just got to make sure that you adjust, because the world is changing around you. You can either be rolling with the punches or pushing the change, or you can be following. But it's changing with or without you. Now, at the end of the day, you can sit down and complain about ghosting, or you can take action to create a better situation. Yeah. Why are they ghosting? It's not them. And I will say what Judith is doing, what I'm doing here in Canada, what Tanya is assisting us in doing, and thank you so much for everything you do, Tanya. She's an amazing woman for many decades in this industry, but in particular recently with us in the residential cleaning industry, is we're trying to raise the profile of professional house cleaners. Now, in order to do that, that starts with us as owners. How we act, how we talk, how we educate ourselves, how we treat people. By raising the standards, we want people to choose house cleaning as a viable career versus the job of last resort because I failed at everything else I've done.
Exactly.
That's very important.
Really good, Mark.
Yeah.
So along those lines, one question that was submitted to Tanya was, what makes a good employee? So there's a lot of, it's different for everybody, but I did some research, and I'm again gonna put a link in here for you guys, and it's gonna give you, it's a really good article. It's actually from Indeed, so they must know what they are talking about. And it just gives you some really good pointers, what makes a good employee, what are some good qualities, some traits that you need to be looking for. So I hope that's gonna help you out. Here at Clean Cup Calgary, what I'm looking for is along our core values. Are they flexible? Are they gonna be reliable? Are they gonna be trustworthy? Trustworthy is one of, it's number one core value in our industry, because we're going into customers' homes and they trust us with their key. That's one of the biggest trust factors. If I hand my key to somebody's to my home to somebody, that's the biggest trust, right? So you just gotta again figure out what your core values are, and through the discussion, look for that. I have a really easy process. I had purchased the core value cards at the ISSA show, and they were on sale by Liz Trotter. I picked out my 7 and I mixed it up with another 7, and we give it to the candidates and we ask them to pick the 7 that is really them. And if they pick more than 4 or 5, we most of the time know that they're going to be a good fit. So this is a free, easy assessment that you can do right on at the interview. And they're like, oh, this is kind of cool. We play a game, and so that's what we do. And it's not foolproof. I have failed before. I hired a supervisor who within a month was stealing money from me, believe it or not. So I really had to reprogram myself and say how I can do better, how I can do a better interview. So you kind of live and learn, right? But I hope that article is going to help you guys, and you can maybe look for your own core values and just always go back to that. That is a very important thing.
There was another question in the chat. How do you balance hiring and getting sales? Because clearly hiring it takes a lot of your time.
So a couple of quick things. One is I want to just, and I'm going to address that, okay? And very promptly for me. But Judith, trust was a big thing, and aptitude was a question.
Yeah.
Okay, well, aptitude is very dynamic. Now, our system is very different. We actually put them into a training program that we built, okay? And I'm not competing with the ISSA training programs. That's where you learn certain things, but that ultimately needs to go into your own platform. And your systems and procedures, your SOPs, your core values, who you are, all the things need to come out of that and go into another platform. Now, I will say a couple of things. One, with regards to trust, Tanya and I and the ISSA are very close to working a deal with an amazing company that will be able to give all of you RCMP level background checks for as low as $15 a check, by the way, and you're going to have a platform. And I'm using it myself now for a couple of years. This is a large tech company. I've been able to negotiate an amazing situation. I'm just about to introduce them to Tanya, okay? And what they're going to do is you're going to be able to go on, you'll be able to get a background check on someone in 15 minutes for as low as $15, okay? So that's to come, so just stay tuned, that's first. Secondly, one of the things that was of discussion when, myself and Mike Nosko, the director of ISSA Canada, started talking about this committee that Mike has wanted to do for many years, but he kind of needed someone to spearhead it. And I pressured Mike, and then together, and then Tanya came on, and then Judith was all about it. And before you knew it, we had a committee, right, for the first time ever. So we could raise the tide for all of the boats in Canada when it comes to house cleaning. But one of the things that we're working on is a bi-weekly show where we'll talk specifically on certain topics. Potentially, I'll be hosting it. We don't know how that's going to look yet. We're working it out, but that's what I pitched to Tanya. And what's going to happen is we'll talk about one particular thing, and I'll bring on guests. So I'll bring on, say, a sales manager of, say, for example, a HRS platform, Collage, that can take you through an applicant tracking system and exactly what that's about. I bring in a human resource professional that knows what they're doing and holds a PhD in human resources that can break it down quick for you and help you with it. So we have great things coming for everybody on that very soon. Now, with regards to the actual question that was asked, at the end of the day, you got to be able to manage your time properly, and you need to transition from being a technician to an owner, okay? And there's lots of great small business coaching out there. As a matter of fact, my brand is launching one in just a few weeks. For me, that was the hardest part. Was it getting customers? No, if I could focus just on sales, no problem. Hiring, if I focus on just hiring, I'll have 40 people hired in 2 weeks, no problem. It's whatever we do, we can do well. But the problem is that we're juggling all these business balls. Oh, and now our taxes are due. So now we got to park all that and go get the taxes done. Oh my God, I didn't keep good books. What am I going to do now? And we have a great bookkeeping company, by the way, that has a great deal for everyone. And they do bookkeeping teaching. Wonderful company, very inexpensive. Yeah. So with all that said, you need to educate yourself on how to manage your time properly, because balancing between marketing and hiring, that's not a hard thing to do. The reality is that shows that there's something deeper going on. Okay. So what I would say, the number one thing you do is cut out the noise. All notifications are turned off. Right? When I wake up in the morning, I got 3 hours of what I'm doing before my family gets up, before I check my Facebook. If you can afford a personal assistant, get one. They're worth their weight in gold. So what it boils down to is you have to live your business with intention. I use time blocking. I have certain blocks of time, as I told you, 4 to 5, right, 7 days a week. I educate myself in my field. I finish that training, I do another one. Right now I'm doing the PhD course through ISSA. So that's what I did this morning from 4 to 5 a.m. Right? And then you block. Now, at 8 o'clock, I leave for my office. I do a briefing with my PA. It's fast. I have time block 1. Time block 1, I take no phone calls. I do not check my email. Do not check. Half an hour a day, 4 days a week, I check my email. That's it. It's an auto-respond, as Tanya will tell you. You get a response that says, thank you so much for emailing. If this is truly urgent, please contact my PA at this number. Thank you so much for supporting me, being efficient with my time so I can handle a heavy workload. You got to get efficient. And you can say, okay, well, I'm going to batch myself. So for example, bookkeeping, 15 minutes a day. Maybe I do that between 9 and 9:30. Email between 12 and 12:30. Hiring between 10 a.m. and 11, right? And then you know what? When 5 o'clock comes, or whatever is your time to shut this thing down and go home and be with the people you love. Give them your time, and then maybe at 8 o'clock when your toddler goes down from 8 to 9, you prep for the next day. How do you handle juggling the balls? You need to get organized and educate yourself on it. That's what you need to do, because that is not a difficult thing to do once you get the hang of it and break some habits. But the number one thing, as my friend Alonzo Adams, who's the chair of the American side of the ISSA and a very successful cleaning business owner in the United States, and also a very successful business coach, will tell you, cut out the distractions and noise. If you do that, you'll find you have so much time on your hands. It's unbelievable.
It's great. What I like to do is I like to every year have a planning day, and I plan my goals, and I do my vision board for my company. And when something is written down, so much more is going to be accomplished. It's really easy to do a vision board too. Like a lot of people think, oh my God, I got to craft. No, you don't. You can just use Canva, and Canva is a great resource for a lot of marketing stuff and things like that. Canva.com. And then also what I like to do is just I have a business coach. I need to talk to somebody. I just call him my business my business psychologist, because there's some difficult days, and lately there have been a lot, because we're all dealing with a lot of challenges in our businesses, and there's a pandemic going on. Who knew? And so these are some of the things that I do that kind of works for me. So I just wanted to quickly touch on the question about commercial cleaning, if that's okay. There was a question put in here. Yep. About commercial cleaning, and I just gotta find it. Oh, we talked about it, the interviewing, right, Stacy? Am I right on that? Oh, yes. Okay. Sorry, then my mistake. The other question was, how do you balance hiring and getting sales? A simple answer to that is, I am myself courageous. I always look at a challenge as, how can I solve this? So if I, for example, get a big contract, first of all, I'm like doing the happy dance, because those don't come by very often in the commercial setting. And then I start thinking, okay, how am I going to solve this? And there's a lot of steps to it. Sometimes I go with my residential team members who maybe want some extra hours in the beginning until I can hire somebody to do it. But I just literally jump in because they are so hard to come by that I don't want to lose the opportunity. Another thing that I do is I have confidence. I'm lucky that way. So for some people, confidence is harder to come by. So I put on that confident front. I never put that afraid front in front of the customer. Like when you think out loud, I'm like, how am I gonna do this? Oh, this is what we're gonna do. That's what we're gonna do. I don't let that side show to the customer ever. I just jump in and I show my confident side. Yes, we can do this. Mark actually talked about it a little bit about selling yourself. And that's what I do. I sell myself. Yeah, I can do this. No problem. And in the background, yeah, excuse me, I'm shitting my pants. But
thank God I'm not the only one who curses. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I do. And then I just get off that fear and I start doing. And it's really amazing when I start doing. Things just come. You get focused.
You touched on something really important. You touched on something really important, and you said you had a business coach. Now, look, I'm not saying I had to go and spend I had Michael Gerber's team, the E-Myth manager, $2,800 a month as my business coach. So, like I believe in investing, but I'm gonna say some things on how important that is. One, my business coach right now is my dad, who's 75. Made $1 million by the time he was in his early 30s, brought aluminum and vinyl siding to Newfoundland and controlled it for 30 years down there. Had 400 people putting on siding in Newfoundland. Every morning I call Dad on my drive to work. That's my #1 business coach, man. So if you got someone in your life that can be that person for you, but she nailed it. She said everyone needs someone to talk to, right? So what I'm going to say is that every winner has a great coach. Not one winner, whether it's Wayne Gretzky, whether it was Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, had a great coach. That's important. Mm-hmm. Get a great coach. Invest in yourself. 2, if business was easy, everyone would be doing it. If being successful in the house cleaning business was easy, everyone would be doing it. Yeah. But at the same time, so what I'm trying to say is that it's hard, guys, gals, it's hard. It's not easy. Life is hard, but you have it in you to do it. Keep it simple, okay? Business shouldn't be too complicated. You're making it complicated. So it's hard, but it's not complicated. How do you get things done? Do one thing at a time. Now, look, I can throw some high-level stuff at you that we're doing here that'll probably, a lot of people will be like, wow. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You need to read a book called The One Thing by Gary Keller from Keller Williams Real Estate, okay? And you know what? You don't need to read it. Get Audible. It's $14 a month. Listen to it. First couple of books are free. The One Thing. And they summarize it in a concise way. Matter of fact, get the audio summary. Don't even listen to the whole book. The One Thing. And it will help you say to yourself each day, and I say this to myself every day, what is the one thing that I can work on today that will propel me towards my goal? And everything else I don't work on that day, because you can spend your life making to-do lists and trust me, you're not getting it done. But if you can finish your day and say, hey, right now we're 6 weeks from franchising. Is this bringing me towards my goal? Because something has got to not get done. But the difference in people that get things done. So is hiring the #1 thing? Well, focus on hiring. Someone asked a question that I want to talk about real quickly before we pull the plug here. Tanya does. And that question was, someone asked a question down there about, let me just pull up the question. It was a great question. See if I can find it here. Where is it? See if I can find it real quick.
In the meantime,
you go ahead.
Is it, how do you promise full-time without the clients?
That's the one. That's the question.
Yes.
Okay. Look, so marketing is a consistent approach. So when I was in real estate, the average person would sell 11 houses a year in Newfoundland. I sold 83 my first year and 93 my second year. Okay. How the heck did I do that? Because here's what they do. I got no business. I'm hungry. I'm going to hold open houses. I'm going to hand out business cards. I'm going to do all these things. And sure enough, it got them customers, which meant sales. And they went like this, right? And then they got a bit of money. And then they serviced those customers and they stopped marketing. And then all of a sudden, they went like this. And then all of a sudden, they had no customers. They went, tank. Oh my God, I got no business. I'm starving. I was just making big money. And now I have expenses like someone who makes big money that don't go away. I better hustle again. And this is their life. Marketing is like this. You consistently apply the 2 to 3 things that work for you, and hiring is like that. Mm-hmm. What comes first, the chicken or the egg? When you hire someone, just be honest. For example, one of the questions they're going to ask you is, how long will it take me to have a full roster of customers, depending on your business model? Tell them the truth. We tell them the truth. You're going to start off, if you're in an area where we're very busy, like St. John's, well, we're going to have a roster of customers right away. If it's in Calgary, well, it's going to take a little while. We don't have a big presence in Calgary right now.
That's great advice, Mark. What we do is when we hire someone, we tell them that the first week is training. They start the first day with video training, and then they train on the job for a week. And we do tell them that is part-time because it's just, that's what it is. And then once we only hire them if we know we have full-time job for them, and it's been working. Also, just a little tip that once you decide to hire, it's actually a really big motivator for you to get new clients. You get off the chair really quick.
Listen, if you knew, you want to plan things out, but if you knew how tomorrow was going to turn out, well, first of all, life would be so sucky, rather than get up every day and say, how's it going to look today? That's exciting, right? And secondly, if we'd never do anything if we knew. Oh my God, I didn't have a license when I first started this business. I was coming off welfare, for God's sakes. If I had to let those things stop me, I never would have put my foot in front of the other. I'd done over $1 million in sales in this little hick town. So the fact of the matter is that, look, just hire, be honest, be transparent, tell the truth. I don't have a lot of customers right now, but I'm growing. And I feel if I hire you, I can go get customers. Mm-hmm. Are you willing to work with me? And I think I can accomplish it in 6 weeks. I can have you to this amount of customers and you can earn this amount. And then they can make an educated choice based on honesty and transparency. And then you got the motivation. But if you wait for everything to fall in place, you're waiting an awful long time. You just got to go for it. Business is risk.
Yeah. We're coming to our upper time here.
Yes.
I wanted to go back to talking to somebody. I'm always available. I do not charge. It's not a marketing thing. I truly want to help because I do know that there's some dark days and there's some questions that we don't know the answer to. So I'm going to put my email address here in the chat.
And there's also our Facebook group, our Residential Careers Facebook group online that you can join as well.
And then here's my cell number as well. Feel free to give me a call, text me, email me if I have some time.
Yeah.
We can schedule a call. I really don't mind chatting with you. I really don't mind listening to some of the struggles that you have, and I can share what I do. Definitely haven't invented the wheel yet, but I'm getting close. So if
including up, join ISSA.
Yes.
If you're not
absolutely.
I really want to say
please.
that. Now,
Yes.
Tanya and Mike Nosko, who's the executive director, who's on this call, you'll know him because he's the handsome dude. But Mike and Tanya are working very hard in developing a payment platform that is potentially going to be tiered. So depending on how big your business is, to make it more.
That's a long ways away, Mark.
Yeah, that's why I said working on it.
Yeah.
Right, but it's something that needs to happen. But invest in it because it'll give you access to things. Because the number one thing that really brought my business from business to hire was attending the first ever ISSA show in Dallas.
Yeah.
Because once you start, getting ingrained in the industry, you're really going to find that you're going to connect with like-minded people all over the world, and you're going to learn so much. You don't have to go through those learning curves I went through until I met the ISSA crowd. We're all here to help each other. High tide raises all the ships. Listen, we're not competitors, trust me. 98% of the residential cleaning market in Canada is completely fragmented. No one's going to take 10% of the market. There's room
Working
for all
on
of us.
that. Anyways, that is the end of today's session. We hope that you can join us again next month. April 13th, I believe, is the date. Keep an eye out on your inboxes. The invite will be coming soon. Thank you all and have a great day.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you.